You know what's wrong with the world? Now, everybody talks about the Iranians. Oh, the poor Iranians, they can't dance, they can't drink, they can't show a centimeter of hair without some bearded prick with a clipboard throwing them in the back of a van. But right now, the regime is more than a bunch of fuckers. It is an idea. They aren't just running a country, they're running a franchise of misery. You see, this war isn't about a peaceful Middle East. A peaceful Middle East is a fairy tale we tell children so they don't wet the bed. This is about momentum. If you knock out the mullahs, you aren't just cleaning up a neighborhood, you're snapping the spine of the global radical Islamist marketing department. You take away the bank, you take away the bullets, you take away the brand. And here's the not PC truth that'll get you canceled at a Berkeley faculty lounge, but discussed in whispers at every intelligence agency from Langley to Tel Aviv. Look at Europe. Can't win a war of the wombs when one side treats reproduction like a tactical deployment and the other treats it like a lifestyle choice. Europe is done. It's a museum that's slowly being converted into a mosque while the curators argue about pronouns. But Iran is the first arrow. If the Iranian people, the real ones, the ones who want to wear blue jeans and listen to Metallica and not get whipped for it, if they take their country back, you've just fired the first shot in a counteroffensive that actually matters. You aren't just changing a regime, you're breaking the spell. You're showing the rest of the world that the green wave isn't an inevitability. It's a choice. And if you choose to stop it at the source, at the literal Vatican of radical Shia madness, then suddenly the world starts to look a little less like a Dark Ages reboot and a little more like, well, something worth living in. Replacing those guys isn't regime change. It's trash day. And if we don't take the trash out in Tehran now, pretty soon, the whole world is going to start smelling like a dumpster fire. I'll be damned if I'm spending my retirement in a world where I can't get a decent bacon cheeseburger because some guy in a turban thinks it'll make the clouds angry. So, the war. Now, Uncle Sam's old. He's got gout. He's got a prescription pill habit that would make Elvis look like a choir boy. And he's bored. He's got all these high-tech toys, drones that can see the mole on a camel's ass from 3 states away, but he can't remember where he put his car keys. Then you got the Persians. Now, don't give me that look. I love the Persians. They invented math or rugs or some shit, I don't know. But they've been holding a 45-year blue ball streak of pure, unadulterated fuck you directed at the West. They're like that quiet guy in the neighborhood who lives in the house with the overgrown lawn, and everyone says, oh, he's just a chemist. But you know, he's building a killdozer in his garage. So Trump sends $1 million missile to blow up a tent. They send a $100 drone, which, let's be honest, is just a weed whacker engine taped to a styrofoam cooler to poke a hole in $1 billion boat. It's the ultimate fuck you to the military-industrial complex. It's like hurling a brick through the window of a Ferrari. The brick costs 10 cents, the window costs 10 grand, and the guy driving the Ferrari looks like a total dickhead. We're over here talking about surgical strikes. There ain't nothing surgical about it. You ever see a surgeon use a goddamn Tomahawk missile? Hold still, Mrs. Higgins. I'm just going to vaporize your gallbladder in the 3 blocks surrounding the hospital. And everyone's offended. You can't say this. You can't say that. It's a war, motherfucker. People are getting turned into pink mist for the sake of a shipping lane that moves cheap plastic crap we don't even need. But the cherry on top of the Sunday madness. Both these guys, they need each other. Uncle Sam needs a boogeyman so he can keep building his fancy-ass jets. And the guys in Tehran, they need Uncle Sam so they can blame him when the Wi-Fi goes down or the milk goes sour. It's a marriage. So you ask me how are the wars going? Fuck that. Let's talk about the situation in the Red Sea, because I hear the Houthis got a DJ now and that shit is fire. You see the news this morning? No, of course you didn't. Look at me. Look at my eyes. Diego Garcia. You even know where that is? A tiny sun-bleached pebble in the middle of the goddamn Indian Ocean. It's where the big dogs park their planes. And Iran, they just sent a 2-ton greeting card across 4,000 kilometers of ocean just to say howdy. Now, you remember that old map? The one the suit and tie motherfuckers in Brussels keep under their pillows? They had this nice little line drawn in the sand. 2,000 kilometers. They said, oh, the Persians, they're very polite. They stopped the fire breathers at the 2,000 mark. We can finish our espresso. We can enjoy our afternoon siesta. We can keep arguing about the shape of a goddamn banana because we're out of range. Well, surprise, motherfucker, the pinky swear is over. That missile didn't just splash in the water. It popped the biggest, fattest, most delusional bubble in human history. We're talking about Europe, the land of we're too sophisticated for a fist fight. They've been sitting there tucked behind their NATO teddy bears thinking they're watching a movie, but the screen just shattered and the monster is stepping into the front row with a blowtorch. You think Paris is safe? You think the Louvre is out of bounds? If you can hit a dot in the ocean 4,000 miles away, you can put a missile through the sunroof of a Mercedes in downtown Berlin while the driver is still trying to figure out which bratwurst has the least amount of nitrates. And what's Europe doing? They're deeply concerned. They're monitoring the situation. They're probably drafting a very sternly worded letter on recycled paper. It's like watching a guy get hit in the face with a brick and he responds by asking if the brick was ethically sourced. Will they get some sense? Will they grow a pair, man, they better hope they can find them in the lost and found, and fast. Because right now, the only thing between a croissant and a Parisian cafe and a very loud, very hot Iranian delivery service is a prayer and a U.S. Navy destroyer that's tired of playing bodyguard for a bunch of guys who think defense is something you do in a soccer match. See, Western Europe is like a fry, a pathetic, limp dick excuse for a potato. It's soft, it's mushy, it's got no backbone. And you know why it's like that? Because the grease is old, the heat is low, and nobody's got the balls to tell the cook he's a hack. Now let's talk about the mullahs, the big bad wolves of Tehran. People think this is just some oopsie daisy in the desert. They think if we just sit tight and send a few strongly worded emails, the whole thing will just blow over like a bad fart at a funeral. Wrong. Dead fucking wrong. If this war doesn't end it with a total 100% regime change, we are finished. Kaput. Finito. We're talking the last 10 minutes of a slasher movie where the killer isn't actually dead, type of finished. See, the Iranian regime is the ultimate movie villain. They aren't some 2-bit street thugs. They're the professional heist crew that's been casing the bank for 45 years. And the bank? That's Western civilization. That's your lattes, your Netflix, your right to wear a free Tibet t-shirt while eating a cheeseburger. If we don't liberate those people, and I mean really liberate them, not that mission accomplished bullshit where we just swap one asshole for a slightly more photogenic asshole, then we're just handing out invitations to the party. You think radicalism is a localized infection? It's a goddamn franchise. It's like Starbucks. If Tehran stays in business, every single radical nut job from London to Los Angeles gets a shot of espresso in their veins. They look at the TV and they see the regime standing there, middle fingers up, still holding the detonator, and they think, hey, the management is hiring. It's the domino effect, but with more shouting and way less pizza. You let that head stay on the snake, that snake is gonna grow 7 more heads, and they're all gonna have a very specific opinion on how you should spend your Sunday morning. And spoiler alert, it doesn't involve watching the game and drinking a Budweiser. Western Civ is currently in the Elvis in 1977 phase. We're bloated, we're sweaty, we're wearing too much sequins, and we're one bad pill away from falling off the toilet. We need a win, we need a comeback. If we don't get these people their freedom, if we let those mullahs keep the keys to the kingdom, then the credits are gonna roll on the West. And it won't be a happy ending. So, yeah, either the regime goes, or we start learning how to like the taste of sand. See, that's your problem. You're looking at the world like it's a geography book. It ain't. It's a locker room, and right now, the locker room is smelling like a mix of cheap hairspray and high-grade saffron. You got Trump on one side, right? This guy, he doesn't want peace. Peace is boring. Peace doesn't have a logo. Peace doesn't look good on the side of a skyscraper in Tehran. He wants a spectacle. He wants the Ayatollah to walk out in a MAGA hat made of pure gold thread, looking like he just won a Cadillac on a game show. Trump's terms, they aren't political. They're aesthetic. He's going to walk in there and say, look, Ali, can I call you Ali? You got to stop with the great Satan bit. It's bad branding. It's low energy. And that heavy water you're cooking up, unless it's got bubbles and comes in a bottle with my face on it, we're going to have a problem. But then you got the mullahs. Let me tell you something about Persians. They didn't invent the rug because they liked soft feet. They invented the rug so they'd have something to pull out from under you while you're busy admiring the patterns. Their terms? They're playing the long game. They're looking at Trump like he's a loudmouth tourist who just walked into a rug shop in Isfahan. They're going to say, okay, Mr. Orange Power Tie, we will stop the centrifuges. We will put the enriched uranium in a box. But in exchange, we want the rights to every Hilton hotel in the tri-state area. We want an official apology for that movie 300, which they're still pissed about, by the way, because it made them look like gold-plated monsters. And we want the recipe for the Big Mac sauce so we can serve it at Halal Donald's across the Middle East. Trump's going to tell them, I want a Trump Tower in Qom. I want it taller than the mosques. I want it to have a buffet that serves bacon-flavored tofu so nobody gets mad, but everyone feels the disrespect. And the Iranians, they're going to smile, that 5,000-year-old smile that we saw Rome fall, and we'll see your Atlantic City casinos fall, smile, and say, we accept, but only if Melania wears a hijab designed by Gucci. You admit that hummus actually started in Tehran. It's like watching two guys try to outgrift each other at a funeral. You got one guy who thinks everything is a reality show finale, and another group of guys who think time is just a suggestion. Trump wants the biggest peace deal in the history of peace. He wants the Nobel Prize just so he can melt it down and make a belt buckle out of it. In Iran, they just want to make sure that when the dust settles, they're the ones holding the remote control to the world's thermostat. So don't tell me about negotiations. This ain't diplomacy. This is a fucking Sergio Leone standoff. Only instead of ponchos and cigars, it's spray tans and prayer beads. See, this is the problem with you people. You're looking at the map, you're looking at the strategic assets, you're looking at the goddamn geopolitical chessboard. Stop it. Throw the board out the window. This isn't chess. This isn't even checkers. This is a game of who can be the biggest motherfucker in the room. And right now, the room is on fire and everybody's lungs are filling up with soot. You got Donnie T up there, right? He's standing on the flight deck, hair flapping in the wind like a golden parachute that failed to deploy, screaming, I won, I killed the boogeyman, it's over. If this were a 1980s Schwarzenegger flick, the credits would be rolling. We'd all be eating popcorn, and Arnie would be smoking a cigar over a pile of rubble. But life ain't a movie. He says he's got a present, a prize. He's acting like the Iranians sent him a goddamn Valentine with a box of chocolates and a note saying, sorry we were dicks, here's all our oil. Please don't hurt us anymore. XOXO. But you look over at Tehran, and what do you see? You see a white flag? You see him crying in their hummus? No. You see Abbas Araghchi standing there with a look on his face like he just swallowed a gallon of battery acid, and he's holding up two middle fingers so high they're reaching low Earth orbit. He's saying, negotiations? We wouldn't negotiate with that guy if he was the last man on Earth and had the only key to the oxygen tank. And that's the part people don't get. You can't break someone who's already decided that dying is a viable career move. You hit them hard, you take out their top brass, and they just get weirder. They don't blink. Why? Because they don't have goddamn eyelids anymore. Trump's out there saying the war is won, and in his head, it is. He checked the boxes, boom, boom, boom. But the Iranians, they're playing a different game. They're playing scorched earth bingo. They're like the guy who gets his arm chopped off in a sword fight and says, yeah, 'tis but a scratch, except the scratch is a total regional meltdown. And you know what the best part is? We're all sitting in the front row, and the ticket price is $5 a gallon and rising. Pass the napkins, will ya? You ever actually watch the first Rocky? I don't mean the montage where he's punching the meat or drinking the raw eggs. I mean the fucking fight at the end. Apollo Creed is the heavy hitter, right? He's the champ. He's got the flashy trunks. He's got the posters. He's got the entire goddamn system behind him. He hits Rocky with everything but the kitchen sink. He breaks the man's ribs. He swells his eyes shut. He turns his face into a bowl of spoiled gazpacho. Apollo Creed is the victor. But look at his face, man. He's screaming. He's yelling, ain't gonna be no rematch. And he looks like he just walked through a wood chipper. And Rocky's the hero. Why? Because the motherfucker didn't fall down. Now, look at the Islamic regime. Look at Iran. We hit them hard. We hammered them like a nail in a coffin that won't shut. But look at the ring, man. They're still standing in the corner, spitting blood, and they're still clutching that little glowing green suitcase of uranium like it's the goddamn holy grail. If Trump walks away now, if he calls it a day and goes back to Mar-a-Lago to talk about how great his punches were, he's Apollo Creed in the 15-round letdown. He's the guy who won the trophy but lost the fucking movie. Because the worst thing you can possibly do in a fight for global dominance is let the other guy become the underdog. You cannot, I repeat, you cannot let the Islamic regime be Rocky Balboa. You let him stay standing, you let him keep the uranium, you let him survive the great Satan's best shot. Suddenly, they aren't just some guys in robes in a desert. Suddenly, they're legends. They're the guys who went 15 rounds with the heavyweight champ of the world and didn't hit the canvas. Every 2-bit revolutionary from here to Timbuktu is going to be wearing their t-shirt. And the sequel, the sequel's coming. Rocky 2 starts with Apollo being haunted by the fact that he didn't finish the job. He's obsessed. He's losing his mind. And Rocky's just getting stronger. He's learning how to punch with the other hand. The uranium is the other hand, man. It's the eye of the tiger with a nuclear payload. If the job isn't done, done, like no more regime, you don't leave the guy standing so he can go home to Adrian and wait for the rematch. You gotta be the guy who doesn't care about the split decision. You gotta be the guy who realizes that in the real world, there are no Best Original Screenplay awards for almost winning a war. If Trump quits now, he's just a flashy guy in star-spangled trunks who's about to get his head knocked off in the sequel. And me, I don't like sequels. They're always messier, they're always louder, and they always involve a lot more property damage. Finish the goddamn movie, end the scene, pull the curtain. See, that's your problem. You're thinking like a State Department suit, you're thinking about diplomacy, you're thinking about proportional response, you're thinking like a guy who checks the calorie count on a bucket of fried chicken. You gotta stop that. It's bad for your soul, and it's terrible for the goddamn oil prices. You wanna end the Islamic regime, you wanna shut down the whole show, you don't send in the Marines. No. That's 20th century thinking, man. You don't invade a country that's 80% mountains and 20% guys who've been pissed off since the Crusades. That's a sucker's bet. You gotta treat the IRGC like a bad franchise, like a Burger King that stopped cleaning grease traps in 1979 and started selling radioactive Whoppers. You don't buy the franchise, you bankrupt the son of a bitch. Step 1. We don't take Carg Island. If you take it, you gotta fix it. If you fix it, you gotta insure it. Fuck that. You just annex the vibe. You tell the Iranians, hey, look at the Strait of Hormuz. It's 21 miles wide. That's it. And right now, the IRGC is standing in the middle of the hallway with a box of matches and a can of gasoline, screaming about the great Satan. Now, Trump's a real estate guy. He understands one thing: location, location, location. You don't fight the guy in the hallway. You just build a bigger, shinier hallway next door. Or better yet, you turn their hallway into a toll road owned by the mob. But you don't drop bombs. Bombs make martyrs. Martyrs are great for business if you're in the business of heaven, but they're terrible for the price of a gallon of unleaded. You drop the American dream. I'm talking a psychological carpet bombing. You flood that country with so much high-speed internet, so many bootleg copies of Yellowstone, and so much digital access to the goddamn Wynn Casino app that the kids in Tehran realize they've been living in a black and white movie, while the rest of us are on a Technicolor acid trip. You want to finish the mullahs? You make them boring. You make them the grumpy grandpas who won't let you have the Wi-Fi password. You starve the beast. You take every drop of that American fracking oil. You flood the market until oil is cheaper than Diet Coke, and you watch the IRGC's bank account hit zero when the guys with the big beards can't pay the guys with the big guns. Poof. That's the magic trick. The guns don't disappear. They just change hands. One day you're a Revolutionary Guard. The next day you're a security guard at a Dubai strip club because the paycheck actually clears. It's not about defeating them. It's about making them obsolete. It's about making the regime as relevant as a blockbuster video in the middle of a Netflix world. And if they try to close the strait, you don't send a carrier. You send a bill. You tell them for every hour the strait is closed, we're going to delete $1 billion of their hidden offshore accounts and replace it with pictures of, I don't know my ass, total psychological annihilation.